He is easily one of the world's most respected, but even more importantly, most loved political and spiritual leaders. He was only 2 years old when he was recognized as the future Dalai Lama, the 14th Dalai Lama in fact. Only 6 years old when he began his monastic education. And today, as His Holiness turns 75, we are extremely privileged to be with him here in Dharamshala at his monastery, a home away for home, not just for His Holiness, but for the Tibetan people in exile for decades now. And as we look back and ahead at his life and time, we also have today with us in our special audience, not just his followers, but also people who just visit, who come to visit Dharamshala, which has become an internationally recognized name because of His Holiness, and of course tourists and foreigners and followers who come from all across the globe. And like I said, it is really our privilege to be with you this morning, Your Holiness. You know, most of us mere mortals, when we approach our birthday, sometimes we feel happy, but sometimes we feel a sense of fear that life is slipping by, we're getting old. But you seem perennially young. How do you manage to stay so young-hearted?
I think sufficient sleep. And then, as a Buddhist monk, no dinner, but very heavy breakfast and lunch, so sufficient food. I think for physical, these are important. Then another, I think, factor. Nowadays, according to latest scientific finding, the healthy mind, very important for healthy body. So, I think in my own case, comparatively, I think my mental state, quite peaceful. Whenever I heard or face some problem, firstly, I always look from wider way, or more holistic way. That also very helpful to reduce mental anxiety.
Many people describe you as a twinkly-eyed, always as a there's a twinkle in your eyes, you're always laughing. You make us laugh. You make everybody who meets you feel happier, calmer. Do you always really internally feel as positive as you appear? Or do you feel the need to appear more positive than you feel for the sake of the millions who follow you everywhere?
I always look, human being, from president or king or prime minister up to beggar, in my mind, in my eye, same. So whenever I met with people, I always look at them as just another human being. Basically, our brothers, sisters. So that also, you see, creates more, peace in mind. This is not so, that level of mind, not always, occasionally sometimes I burst.
You get angry?
Oh yes, yes.
You get angry?
Oh yes, if you ask some silly question.
Oh no.
Repeatedly, then I may lose my temper.
Now I'm scared.
Actually, it happened in one time in America. One New York Times columnist, you see, one lady, she asked me, of course, there are some other questions, and then she asked me what I want, you see, my sort of legacy about name in future. Then I told her, I'm Buddhist practitioner. Should not think about my own name like that. I answer. Then again, a few other sort of discussion. Then again she asked me that, same question. And I answer same way. Then after a few moments, again she asked that. Then I lost my temper.
This is a lesson for me to ask only once.
Good.
But when you get angry, do you express it? Because, you know, in urban modern life, a lot of us get angry very quickly. You know, we live high-stress lives, we have short tempers. When you get angry, how do you control it? Because, you know, you're Buddhist, you're a spiritual leader.
You see, those angry or irritation, you see, due to some small mistakes, some people, then I just express, then finished, nothing. Then sometimes more serious sort of anger. Then sometimes I try to separate myself from anger. Then watch what's anger, that emotion. That immediately the strength of the anger diminishes.
Now tell me, you spoke about the brain, the human brain, and you are seen to be somebody who has married a scientific temperament of inquisitiveness with spirituality, which is very rare. And I read somewhere that on your table you actually have a model of the human brain that you keep assembling and trying to understand. It's very rare for a spiritual leader to believe so much in science.
A scientific way of thinking and their sort of method to investigate what the reality. It's very important, very useful. Since my childhood, I always was the curiosity. I want to know, well, what's that? And particularly when I was very young, the British mission in Lhasa, the new person come, they always brought me some toys. So therefore, when I received information, some new officials in the British mission in Lhasa, then I always excited. Oh, now what kind of new toy come?
What was your favorite toy?
Oh, small, some train, railway, small things like that, and some cars like that. In any way, when I received such things, a few moments I play, then always try to know what's the system moving. I always open like that. So, actually many toys, I think, damaged by that way.
But you know, one of the most charming and compelling things about you, Your Holiness, is the fact that you still retain a childlike, if I can use that phrase, a childlike innocence, a childlike humor. Yet you were only 2 years old when you were recognized as the next Dalai Lama. Do you sometimes, speaking as a human being and not as a holy man today, do you look back and feel that your childhood was lost?
No. I think in a way, yes, some extent. But anyway, of course, after 2 years or 3 years, they recognize me as the Dalai Lama, reincarnation. But then still with my parent and my elder brother, younger brother and sister like that. Then I think about 5 years I reached Lhasa. Then separate from my mother. In summertime, I think every day is a come. Occasionally I also went their home. Till I think some few years. Then my tutor, the regent, put some restriction. I should not go my home.
To meet your mother.
Oh, I little bit anger.
Did you show?
But I obey his sort of instruction. I never then I never went there. But otherwise, sometimes, you see, as a child, during my lesson, not very successful, my mood bad. Then as soon as that lesson finish,
your mood good.
I run away in my mother's place and spend some time there. And then at the beginning, I determined I never return for lesson. But then, about time come, the next afternoon lesson come, then I slowly return.
So actually that sounds less like any other child who's traumatized by their exams.
One way, of course, a little bit isolate from my mother, from my parent. But one way, they always come often. Then those, including sweepers and some sort of official sort of, servant for me.
Yeah.
See, of course, in ceremony or official sort of function, of course, they show great respect like that. But usually, when I play, they do not treat me as a Dalai Lama. Or they often defeat me. Sometimes I cry. I do not want to defeat it, but they defeat like that. So they treated me normal way. Yeah, including those sweepers. Eventually become best my friend. Very uneducated, but very honest. Very sort of truthful. Trust people.
Your realistic approach, where you have spoken about autonomy for Tibet instead of independence, is the middle way, is the moderate approach. Yet it doesn't seem to have moved Beijing, it doesn't seem to have moved China. Do you sometimes regret at 75 your moderate political approach?
No. From the government side, you say no for positive result. But Chinese people means all 1.3 billion, not saying that, some intellectuals and some professors and writers and some artists. I think before Tiananmen massacre happened, very few. After that, more and more Chinese now showing their concern and showing solidarity with us. Within the Chinese government officials, many privately, personally express supporting our approach. So this is, I feel, positive result. Sometimes you see the Chinese media describe me, Dalai Lama not teaching proper Buddhism. So it seems they know better. So therefore, that's the problem. So therefore, Tibetan problem, of course, created from outside. So we have to find solution with them. So Chinese people support is very essential. Then also outside world, including United States, Indian government, European Parliament, all these influential body, they also very easily support.
You still have faith in the United States? Because I remember when I met you last time, you had come back from your first visiting from Washington and President Obama had not met you on that trip. Subsequently he did, but many people think Obama acted under Chinese pressure. So do you still have faith in Washington?
Oh, of course.
You weren't upset that he didn't meet
America,
you? You weren't upset he didn't meet
himself,
you? Yeah.
When I met, of course, before our physical meeting, I know through corresponding and also telephone, I know a very good person. Then after all, America, democratic country. Finally, both houses are very important. Then that also, the public thinking. Usually, democratic country, the public thinking reflect in the parliament, in the houses. Their thinking reflect on the administration. In America, in the public level, and also both houses, very, very sympathetic, very supportive. Then this country also, Indian government, our stand, they can easily support like that.
But the Indian government did not let you make a political speech when you went to Tawang in Arunachal Pradesh. They said you were only going to go as a spiritual leader. Don't you feel that sometimes India is giving into pressure from the Chinese because India is trying to form its own parallel strategic relationship with China? And doesn't that disturb you?
Of course, in many years, in the past, I usually they respond when people ask about the government of India's attitude or help. And I always say, those fields which government of India can help, the Indian government is provided maximum help in education field and rehabilitation and some other field like that. Then political field, government of India's attitude or policy, China in general and generally and particularly Tibet case, usually I describe overcautious. It happened. It's understandable. But in recent years, the government of India, I think many other sort of factor, you see, now stand more firm, like my recent visit in Taiwan, like that.
Well, you remain optimistic about Tibet. We are going to take a quick break. We're then going to open this floor to the many followers and questioners who are here. So we'll be back with a special program on His Holiness's 75th birthday in just a few minutes. Welcome back. We're in conversation with His Holiness the Dalai Lama on the occasion of his 75th birthday in Dharamshala at his monastery. So it's a very special occasion for us as well. And we're carrying today from Delhi a special message first, Your Holiness, from one of India's best-known photographers, Raghu Rai, who has spent a long time photographing you and following you around and loves you a lot. And this is the message that Raghu Rai has sent for you.
Your Holiness, many happy returns of the day on your 75th birthday. And you may look as handsome and as strong like the Himalayas that you always look. You see, you are a highly spiritual and evolved person. So my question to you is that please connect with the Supreme Energy for our sake and find out when are we going to go back to Tibet so that I can travel back with you in your homeland and photograph you all over again. And my best wishes again and lots of love, Your Holiness.
Thank you.
Do you believe that you will ever go back to Tibet in this lifetime?
Oh, yes.
You still believe that?
Yes, yes. Yes. Tibetan spirit inside Tibet inspired so many sort of new change or new development, and also brainwash or torture, various methods. Tibetan spirit never change. Very strong, forever. Then, on top of that, number of Chinese, according to some information, over 200 millions of Buddhists in China, including many party members, high officials, outwardly communist, atheist, deep inside Buddhist.
But can I ask you a difficult question? Do you ever feel, because while you are a holy leader, a spiritual leader, you're also human, I think, at heart. Do you sometimes feel that on this issue of going back to Tibet, for you or your people, time is not on your side anymore?
How soon, if you ask, then difficult question.
In your lifetime?
Nobody knows.
In your lifetime, you think?
Next to 5 years, 10 years, I think 15 years, things will change definitely.
Yeah? You joked once that to retire was also your human right.
Oh, yes.
You see, you joked about that.
Since 2001, since we already achieved elected political leadership of our establishment here, my position is semi-retired position. So now I'm looking forward complete retirement.
Do you think the Tibet movement will remain the same if you do retire? Because there are many people, young Tibetans today, who feel that your message of non-violence has actually not worked because it has not managed to move a cold, unfeeling government in Beijing.
Difference is, you see, among Tibetan, like youth organization and some other organization, you see, they want complete freedom, complete independence.
Yes.
So here, differences. Now some kind of debate going on among our community. That now number is growing. And we also sometimes find it difficult to explain because you see failure inside Tibet. like that. But finally, majority of them support our existing sort of stand. So like that, this will go continuously.
So if the majority opinion within the community changes, you would be willing to change your position?
Have to.
So if the majority position said, we don't want autonomy...
I'm not a dictator.
Why do you want to retire then? What would this movement be without you?
Age. And also, you see, we're fully committed about democracy. And also, this is the national struggle. People should carry the responsibility. Should not rely on one individual.
Have you set a time frame mentally for this retirement from your political role?
No.
What would it depend on?
Oh, one little difficulty is, you see, people, too much emotion, too much expectation.
People won't let you retire.
So that's a little bit sort of difficult. but then, of course, then also, you see, finally, I'm a human being, so I also have the right for certain my right, basic right.
So retirement is your human right, but I don't think it's happening. But there's so many people here who've come to listen to you today, and let's start taking some questions. We have Catherine Levine, if you can just...
You've indicated that you do have hope for Tibet's future. What are the main sources of hope for you, for that future?
Truth, honest, transparent. Our voice here, very weak, very small, but people take trust.
And you have never, in all these years, lost hope?
No. Of course, some disappointment occasionally come, but basically, as I mentioned earlier, we believe truth.
We have another question from Jeremy Russell.
Your Holiness, I've heard you say you expect to outlive the Chinese Communist Party. I wonder if you still feel that way, and whether you feel the change in the Chinese Communist Party would be gradual or sudden?
Well, few occasions these days, half joke, half serious. Communist Party, of course, inspired a lot of destructions, but some positive thing also they've done, and particularly in early period, when real revolution sort of movement, you see, was moving or taking place, they really totally dedicated people. When I was in China, 1954, 55, of course, I met several times Chairman Mao and all those top leaders. And also I met a number of top leaders in different provinces when I touring. All of these people, totally dedicated for well-being of the people. So I really admire. So my sort of impression is so good about this, the Marxist Party. So I want to join Communist Party. But then they say, no hurry. So I think they know eventually their Communist Party will be, or say they spoil, or so better to not join, I think. So in any way, at that time, really, party, wonderful party, really people's party, really working class people's party. Now today, no longer that.
Do you still think of yourself as a Marxist?
Yes.
You're still a Marxist?
Still Marxist. As far as social economic theory is concerned, I'm Marxist.
Maybe that will give you some membership to the Communist Party of China.
Now, unfortunately, Chinese Communist Party is no longer Communist Party.
It's capitalist.
Oh, capitalist party.
I now want to hear from one of His Holiness's oldest friends, Professor Sharma, who's also been the former principal of the Dharamshala College. And tell us something about him that none of us know.
That's a very difficult question to answer. My most memorable moment was when a friend rang me up to say that there was a very bad news, and what was the news? That His Holiness was leaving Dharamshala. And in the afternoon I arrived here at His Holiness's office, but His Holiness was very busy because hundreds of foreign journalists were there. But I sent back the message that I would not leave the place unless His Holiness allowed me to meet him. And he was kind enough that his secretary, then Secretary Tenzing Geshe-la, he sent word to me that His Holiness would meet you. I went to meet His Holiness. As usual, he was standing at the threshold. I will not reveal to the public what he said to me when both of us waited for a second at the threshold before entering the room. Only I wish, at that moment, had wished, like Sita, for the ground under me to open up and that I could go inside it and disappear. And a stage came when I started crying like a baby. His Holiness got up, I got up, His Holiness embraced me like anything and promised that he would not leave Dharamshala.
I hope you're never leaving Dharamshala, and if you do, it should only be to go back to Tibet.
Yes, the local people at that time. So, when trouble happened, I was in America. So then someone asked me, then I expressed, if local people do not want us remain here, then we have to leave. Then when I reach here, some of my sort of old friends come, especially this person, very much emotionally asked me,
yes.
Till the day leaving for Tibet,
That's right.
Please remain here.
I hope you've never thought about it
I
since
very
then.
much sort of moved.
Another is Dharamshala veteran Ajay Singh. Ajay Singh.
Oh.
Every place that you go, you spread so much joy. For this to continue, would you not please appoint a successor now that you are with us in this world?
As early as '69, one of my official and sort of formal sort of statement, publicly I stated, this sort of century-old institution, whether should continue or not, up to Tibetan people. Last few years, we also, you see, discuss about my successor, or how to keep this institution. So, the topic already now there, but not yet sort of also the
Decided.
Concrete sort of decision, not yet.
You said once that you believe that even the institution of the Dalai Lama could fade away.
Yes.
Do you really believe that?
Yes, believe. Buddha himself, there is no Buddhist institution, no Nagarjuna institution, but their teaching remain still, not organization. Of course, I cannot compare with these great sort of leaders, but some of my thought, my books remain after me, about a few hundred years, I think remain.
When I met you last time, you said, I am not a God man.
Oh yes, I'm a human being. No question.
All right. Next question is from Francisco, who's here from Argentina. Yes, if we can just get you the mic. Yes.
Hello, Your Holiness. So my family is from Argentina, and I've been studying here for 6 months. And in Argentina, we have a long history of military dictatorships, and throughout South America. Can there be a positive benefit to having a military?
At a certain occasion, they have better to take their sort of control or responsibility. But then once you see they got these things, then they hold that, don't think about the reality, about democracy, just you see, think about their own power.
So military is needed for a purpose, but they have to let go of power. They can't...
Short period, as an emergency measure, but never you see remain forever. That's, I think, again related with moral principle.
All right, we have Bhuvnesh Dhube, who runs a school in Dharamshala. Bhuvnesh, go ahead.
Ahimsa is part of human values.
Yes.
Now, how much relevant is the doctrine of ahimsa in today's times of intense violence?
I think violence in global level, like including, September 11th event.
9/11.
9/11. Some media people asked, then I mentioned, these events, this tragedy, unbelievable sort of tragedy, its own causes and conditions. And cause its own causes, own causes, own causes. So these things may relate with last 1 or 2 centuries. That means colonial rule. And eventually some of these countries, you see, their oils, these things exploit or used by those industrialized nations. So their own people remain poor. These also, ultimately, the moral ethics or the kasa jimeni. So at that time, I expressed that in order to counter these things, we have to think 2 levels. One level, immediate, that leaders is taking care, whether right method or wrong method. But we have to think long term. Yeah. As proper education or promotion of non-violence, ahimsa. Your enemy, even enemy, also part of you. Your future depends on them. So destruction of your neighbor, destruction of your enemy is destruction of yourself. So therefore, the ahimsa, that does not mean no longer any problem, any conflict. Conflict there. Sometimes I jokingly telling people, so long human smart brain remain there, some problems always remain there.
We create our own problems.
So if we really want to build peaceful world, then human being must go. so long human being there, and particularly those human beings with more shine here, more sort of experience, more visions. So sometimes these people, you see, create more problems. I think including myself now.
All right, Jessica Sanche.
My question is, do you feel the Obama administration is too lenient in their policies toward China?
Initially, a little bit cautious. After Copenhagen, I think a new administration gaining more experience. So, but this is just the beginning. So you have to sort of wait and see.
You don't think he's cozying up to China?
No, I don't think. When I met Obama, I remind him, Indian Prime Minister's sort of expression. India, in economy field, little sort of was behind than China. But India also have some other fundamental values. Democracy, rule of law, the free press, transparent. So I mentioned to Obama, the Indian Prime Minister, usually I describe our Prime Minister, because now 51 years in this country. So I consider myself as a son of India. So that expression, some Chinese officials furious. But it's true. Now here, major portion of my life is spent here. I always telling.
Do you feel Indian now, half Indian, half Tibetan, something like that?
If you open my brain. Then I think 100% Indian. Because my teacher, all these Nalanda masters, usually I describe Indians are guru, we are chela. And also, you see, I sometimes, recent years, I mentioned we are quite reliable chela. Because, you know, once 8th century, Nalanda thought, Nalanda sort of was the brilliant their thought, concept reached Tibet. We kept. During those centuries, their own homeland, a lot of destructions. Now Nalanda just ruined. Nothing. During this period, when our guru little bit suffer, we Chela kept all your treasures intact. So we are quite a reliable Chela.
I want to play for you now another message that we've carried from Delhi, from dancer Sonal Mansingh.
Oh. I offer my prayers and salutations to His Holiness the Dalai Lama. I think I was a school-going kid when in a taffeta frock, and he was a 16-year-old, and he and the then Panchen Lama were visiting India, Bombay. In 1993, I showed him this picture and he laughed in his typical hearty way and hugged me. You know, just to be hugged by him, to be enveloped. You are in a universe. I go in a tizzy. And it's like going into the deep waters of the Ganga. I can't describe it. So, Your Holiness, you are Amita Shatru. You are Yuga Purush. You are what you are. I want to wish you many, many healthy, fruitful, laughter-filled years where you spread joy and beauty to all. My one little question to you, how do you do it with all the problems that you have faced all your life? Fantastic. My humblest namaskars to you.
Thank you. Thank you. There is no other choice. If you rely drug or alcohol, it's because of self-destruction. So we have wonderful human mind which have the ability to think reasons or fact. So use that maximum way. Then you become realistic.
Extraordinary your optimism, but we do need to take another break. In the last segment, we still have some questions left.
Okay.
And we want to ask you, Your Holiness, to look back at your life and to share some of your personal memories and personal landmarks with us. And that's coming up in just a couple of minutes. Welcome back. We're in conversation with His Holiness the Dalai Lama in Dharamshala at his monastery on the occasion of his 75th birthday. And we've been talking to people who've known the Dalai Lama for a very long time. We now want to play for you, Your Holiness, a message from somebody who used to be your liaison officer, who knew you long back, Inder Malik. Inder Malik.
I know.
And this message from Inder Malik from Delhi.
Your Holiness, I am extremely grateful to you because during my long stay, I got so much knowledge and wisdom, not only from you, but for your reverend tutors, senior tutor and junior tutor, that I could write a book on you. My book, Dalai Lama, Tibet, for whom you wrote the foreword, and you inaugurated it in 1984, became a hit, and I became a writer. Divinity was writ large on his face. Now that was my first impression in 1962, and now I have been seeing him for the last 50 years after that. The glow has been expanding and expanding. Now I have the pleasant duty in wishing you a long, long and a very, very healthy life, because you are required by the whole world.
I don't think I have ever met a spiritual leader. I'm not saying holy man or God man, just a spiritual or a political leader who is so loved by so many people. How does it not go to your head?
Self-discipline.
Self-discipline.
And there's sort of verses, and also say, I sort of recite that every day. That verse is mentioned. If you sort of respect by everybody and praising you, you must think you are lowest person. I always practice that.
All right, Tracy Christmas from England. This is a question from Tracy, yes.
My question was regarding the selection process of future Dalai Lamas. If you think that the traditional process will still be able to continue, sort of given what's happening in China and what happened with the Panchen Lama?
Unfortunately, those Chinese communist hardliner, you see, they are quite expert to create unnecessary problem. Look, now two Panchen Lama. One Panchen Lama, official Panchen Lama. One Panchen Lama, Panchen Lama of Tibetan heart. So such things creates more complication, more resentment to the Chinese government. So still seems to say they are not yet learned these things. So they, if I die, say within this year, most probably Chinese, you see, appoint or choose one boy, one official Dalai Lama. Then if Tibetan and concerned sort of people really want to have another sort of Dalai Lama reincarnation, then they will choose.
What is your own mind? Would you like to see somebody appointed in your lifetime?
Oh, I am not much concerned about these things.
You don't?
So sometimes I express it. Chinese communists seems more concerned about Dalai Lama initiation than me. Political reason, of course. You know, silly thinking like that. So it doesn't matter. And also the practical level, no hurry. I'm quite healthy. if not take suicide way, then my body is considered very healthy. So another, I think 10, 20 years, I think no problem.
Okay,
10, 20,
so then
30 years.
All right, now Catherine Schwit.
Tashdila, Your Holiness, and happy birthday.
Oh, thank
Please,
you.
not just 10 or 20 years, stay another 75 years.
That's too long. That's unrealistic, I think. About 100. That's, I think, possible.
100 is possible? Century mark.
Some prediction predicted by one great Tibetan master about 200 years ago. Some of his predictions seems to be related with me. So in that prediction mentioned that person's life longevity 113 mentioned that. And early 60, one occasion I also one dream, you see, indicate my lifespan 113. So 2 years ago I received that sort of prediction. About 200 years ago, you see, goes same. So then I thought maybe, and according to my one sort of beautiful sort of story, I usually telling people in big audience, I usually telling, among the audience, some people may have some kind of, believe Dalai Lama have some kind of healing power. So as far as that is concerned, 2008, I think October, I went through surgery, so that scientifically proved Dalai Lama have no healing power. Clear, isn't it? I think it's quite clear.
Your Holiness, there's been some discussions about full ordination for nuns in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition. And there's some obstacles to this, which Your Holiness described at the conference in Hamburg in 2007 yes. as old-fashioned thinking in the Tibetan society, that they won't accept this full ordination for nuns. Last year, Your Holiness mentioned that you might be reincarnated as a woman, and the next Dalai Lama might even be a woman. So how does Your Holiness think the Tibetan society would accept a female Dalai Lama when they are having troubles accepting fully ordained nuns?
No, not that way. You see, the Tibetan, the bhikshunis, the highest ordination of Buddhist nun, some hesitation, not due to public sort of reluctance, no. Public, of course. The Buddha himself gave the same right, bhikshu, bhikshuni. So everybody have the right, see, to achieve that. Now question is the technical one. Technical. The Vinaya vow should take according Vinaya rule. So then next reincarnation, if the circumstances is such, the female reincarnation more effective, then and carry through spiritual, traditional spiritual way, if they found like that way, I think no problem.
Okay, Swati, where are you? Yeah.
I'm a psychologist by profession. My question is, how do you deal with the trauma, confusion and conflict in the minds of new Tibetan generation who are growing up in India with the world's ambitions and desires?
Tibetan younger generation who born in this country with Tibetan atmosphere still much more thinking like Tibetan. And those young Tibetan, now you know, those young Tibetan who come from Tibet, they grown up in tense situation, so much short temper and more violent nature. It happened. So now here, Tibetan generally who bringing up in Tibetan community, comparatively still better, but still we are not. We need a lot of work.
Well, I want to end with one of your friends, also Professor Chamanlal Gupta. If you can share a personal story with us, like Professor Sharma, because we want to know things that we don't know already.
I came in contact with His Holiness in 1999 for the first time. It was his birthday, and we came to him from Bharat Tibet Sahyog Manch. After having talks with him, I asked him, how is it that you are a Buddhist and firm believer in ahimsa, that is non-violence, and yet you take meat and so many others also do the same? How do you compromise this situation? And secondly, I asked him, okay, what are your shortcomings? He mentioned two, that is my love for watches.
Where's the watch? Oh, there it is.
And meat eating. So when we were going out, he just caught hold of my arm and said, asked the photographer, you come, we will have a photograph with him. And I have that photograph with His Holiness in my study, and that is the most precious treasure that I ever will have in my life. Thank you.
Your Holiness, do you still think watches and meat eating are your only two flaws? And as flaws goes, they're pretty innocent.
My so fond watch. That is one of my weakness. But the first of the present watch from President Roosevelt.
Wow. And how old were you then? You must have been a child.
1942. I was then 7-year-old. Here you see one quite strange sort of story. With that watch and one, silver made old sheep. Then one letter. As a 7-year-old boy, no interest about that letter, only that watch. And that sort of silver sort of sheep, I put on a sort of a small sort of pond, small pond. It sank. Too heavy, no interest. Then only that watch, and that watch quite shameful. As soon as I received the information, the delegation, when they reach Lhasa, the British mission there, I received the information from our foreign ministry's officials who speak English. So he informed me, he said they are present. As I mentioned earlier, I asked what kind of sort of a present. And then I was told it's one watch. So then, before formal meeting, I always asked, bring that watch. How bad, isn't it? That boy. Too much greed. So, the letter...
You didn't care about.
Of course, I never saw. Till my meeting Obama, this time, he kindly copied that original letter
yeah?
for me. Then, so after Krishna Mrita, since 42 now
to 2010.
Oh, 2010.
70 years later.
70 years later, I saw the letter.
Did Obama give you a watch?
No, no. And then about the taking meat. Here, you know, there are sort of some kind of contradictions. But in Vinaya, no prohibition eating meat. One time I discussed with, this sort of subject with one monk from Sri Lanka many years ago. He mentioned Buddhist monk, neither vegetarian nor non-vegetarian. Whatever he get, should accept. So that's the principle. So then Tibetan case, I think practically some of the remote, the northern part of Tibet, no vegetable.
Grows, yeah.
So very difficult. So that's practical reason. However, my age, about 13, 14, all Tibetan official festival, previously a lot of meat, I changed to vegetarian food. Then 59 come to India. Around 60, 65, I become vegetarian. I give up.
Why did you give it up? Why?
Better.
Healthier or philosophical reason?
Philosophical reason. Then I think 67, I think 67 or 66 or 67, I developed gallbladder hepatitis. So whole my body is become yellow. So later I joke. Then at that time I almost become like living Buddha. Whole body yellow. Eye also yellow and the nail also yellow. So then Tibetan physician as well as the allopathic physician advised me now should take meat. So that start
again.
Back to original diet. Meantime, all our institution, monastic institution in South India, and also Namgyal Monastery, and here, my own sort of kitchen, common kitchen, now serve only vegetarian food.
At 75, do you have any regrets? Anything you would have wanted to do differently?
Regrets? Small things, of course, almost every day.
Like?
I think just here, too hot. So
that's our fault.
My sort of this garment, maybe one thinner one, maybe nice.
That's a minor regret.
Major point, I think, during my study period, around 10 years, I rather lazy. I often used to telling people, the way I study at the young age, under threat of whip by my tutor, you know, the senior tutor, very sort of stern. When I young, he never showed smile, and he kept one whip. At that time, you see, his father, my elder brother and myself used to study together. So 2 whips there. One normal whip, one yellow whip. Suppose that yellow whip, suppose the holy whip. So for holy student, for holy whip is something relevant. So then I have quite sufficient sort of brain. Holy whip may not bring holy pain, just ordinary pain. Therefore, I afraid is that whip. So that sometimes I feel a little bit regret. Then otherwise, I think in the political field or some other sort of that field, since I took the responsibility about 16-year-old age, since then till now, major decision, no regret.
Well, may you go from strength to strength.
Thank you.
At 75, it's been an absolute privilege.
No,
Please don't get up.
I have to take
I think if we can just have a round of applause in the meantime for... Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This means a lot to me. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.